Welcome to Numismatic Vault, the channel where coins aren't just spare change, they're hidden treasures waiting to be found. In today's video, we're diving deep into the world of rare and valuable 5-cent coins. Some of these coins are worth far more than you'd ever imagine, and the best part, they could be sitting in your pocket or coin jar right now. So get ready, because by the end of this video, you might be looking at your change in a whole new way. So on. Top 1, we are focusing on the Jefferson nickel from the year 1964, a coin that at first glance might look ordinary, but when you learn its secrets, you'll realize that some of these coins are worth small fortunes. So sit back, listen carefully, and enjoy the story of this incredible 5-cent piece. Now let's set the stage. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the famous Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin's obverse features the profile of Thomas Jefferson, America's third president, statesman, and author of the Declaration of Independence. The reverse proudly shows Jefferson's historic home, Monticello, a neoclassical masterpiece that remains one of the most recognizable landmarks in American coinage. For decades, this design became a staple in American pockets. Fast forward to 1964, a year of enormous change in the U.S. coinage system. That year is especially significant because it was the final year the United States struck silver coins for circulation. Dimes, quarters, and half dollars still contained silver in 1964. But nickels, unlike those denominations, had never been made of silver except for the wartime issues from 1942 to 1945, when they contained a mix of silver, manganese, and copper. By 1964, the Jefferson nickel continued its long run with a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a metallic mix that gave the coin its distinctive color and durability. But what makes the 1964 nickel stand out in the world of collectors is not its metal content, but its sheer mintage numbers and the rare gems hidden among them. The United States Mint struck an astronomical number of these coins, over 2.5 billion combined between the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The reason for this huge output was a massive coin shortage in the early 1960s. To meet public demand, the mint produced more nickels in 1964 than any other year in history. On the surface, this might suggest that the coin is too common to be valuable. But in reality, rarity in coin collecting isn't always about low mintage. Sometimes, it's about condition, strike quality, and errors that slip through the cracks. One of the most sought-after rarities from 1964 are nickels that display full steps on Monticello. If you flip the coin and look closely at the base of the building, you'll see steps leading up to the entrance. On most coins from this year, the steps appear weak or blended due to worn dies and the rush of mass production. However, in rare cases, a coin was struck so sharply that every single step appears crisp and distinct. These full steps nickels are extremely difficult to find, especially in high grades, and they command premium prices at auction. Now let's talk about the world of mint errors, which is where true treasures lie. One notable error is the double die obverse. This happens when the die that strikes the coin shifts slightly between impressions, creating a doubling effect. On 1964 nickels, doubling has been found on Jefferson's eye, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," and sometimes even on the date itself. Strong doubling of this kind can make collectors' hearts race, because these varieties can sell for many times the value of a regular coin. Another fascinating error is the off-center strike. In this case, the planchet, the blank piece of metal, isn't perfectly aligned with the dies, so the design is stamped off-center. Depending on how far the strike is shifted, these coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands. The most valuable off-center strikes are the ones where the date is still visible, since that's what ties the error to the 1964 issue. There are also clipped planchet errors, which occur when a blank is punched too close to the edge of the metal strip, resulting in a coin with a crescent-shaped clip. These errors are easy to recognize and always draw attention from collectors. Then there are struck-through errors, when foreign objects like grease, wire, or debris interfere with the striking process. These create odd indentations or missing details that make each coin one of a kind. In addition to errors, proof coins from 1964 add another dimension of collectability. Proofs are specially made for collectors, struck with polished dies and planchets to produce mirror-like fields and sharp details. Some 1964 proof nickels display deep cameo contrast, where Jefferson's portrait appears frosted against a shiny background. These coins, when preserved in pristine condition, are highly desirable and can achieve remarkable prices. So you might be asking, if billions were made, how do collectors ever find the rare ones? The answer lies in persistence and knowledge. Coin roll hunters search through thousands of bank rolls hoping to find sharp strikes or hidden errors. Collectors at coin shows and auctions carefully examine every detail under magnification. And sometimes, incredible discoveries are made by sheer luck, like someone spotting a double die in their change or an off-center strike in an old coin jar. The thrill of the hunt is what keeps the passion alive. Every 1964 Jefferson nickel you hold has the potential to be something extraordinary. To most people it's just 5 cents, but to collectors it could be a masterpiece of rarity. And as history shows us, some examples have crossed the line from pocket change to auction block treasure. Now we arrive at the most exciting part of this story, the value reveal. While most 1964 nickels are worth just a few cents in circulated condition, and even uncirculated ones might fetch only modest sums, there exist those truly exceptional examples. Coins with blazing mint luster, coins with full steps, or those carrying dramatic mint errors that make them one of a kind. And it is these rare specimens that have achieved jaw-dropping results at auction. One such Jefferson nickel from 1964, preserved in extraordinary condition and carrying the features collectors dream of, has been valued at the incredible amount of $83,000. Yes, you heard me correctly. A simple nickel from 1964, something most people would pass by without a second thought, has been sold for $83,000, and that, my friends, is why coin collectors never underestimate any coin. Every coin has a story, and every pocket change has a possibility of being a treasure. So the next time you come across a 1964 Jefferson nickel, don't ignore it. Look closely. Because hidden in its tiny details could be a fortune waiting to be discovered. Top 2. We're taking a deep dive into the Jefferson nickel from the year 1969, one of the most intriguing coins in U.S. history and one that has captured the attention of collectors for decades. At first glance, the 1969 Jefferson nickel looks like any other nickel you might have seen thousands of times. But trust me, this is not just an ordinary 5-cent piece. Some examples from this year, under the right conditions, have proven to be incredibly valuable. By the end of this video, you'll learn why collectors search tirelessly for this coin, what unique errors make it stand out, and of course, the unbelievable price one example has sold for. So listen carefully, because what I'm about to share might make you take a second look at every nickel you come across. Let's start with the basics. The Jefferson nickel has been part of American coinage since 1938, designed by the talented artist Felix Schlag. The obverse features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. His face, with the inscription, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," is a symbol of American ideals and leadership. On the reverse, we find Monticello, Jefferson's iconic Virginia estate, with the words, "E pluribus unum, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America." But 1969 was not just any year for U.S. coinage. The 1960s were filled with changes, from coin shortages to shifting minting techniques, and these circumstances gave rise to some fascinating varieties. The Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints all produced nickels in 1969. However, the San Francisco mint made proof coins, while the regular circulation strikes came from Philadelphia and Denver. Among these, certain rare errors and high-grade examples have caught the eyes of serious collectors. So, what makes the 1969 Jefferson nickel so special? The answer lies in a combination of condition, rarity, and minting mistakes. Most 1969 nickels were produced in large numbers, and as a result, circulated heavily. This means that today, the majority you'll find are worn down, scratched, or dull. But finding a 1969 nickel in pristine, mint state condition is extremely rare. Add in special errors or varieties, and suddenly you have a coin worth far more than its face value. now let's talk about some of the exciting errors and varieties from 1969 nickels that collectors chase after. Double die obverse, DDO, this is one of the most thrilling finds for any coin hunter. On some 1969 nickels, the inscriptions on the obverse, such as Liberty or In God We Trust, appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation. These doubling effects are visible to the naked eye and immediately make the coin rare and desirable. Off-center strikes. Occasionally, coins were struck when the blank planchet wasn't properly aligned with the dies. This produces coins where part of the design is missing, giving a dramatic and unusual appearance. Off-center nickels from 1969 can fetch impressive prices, especially if the date remains visible. Full steps nickels. Collectors of Jefferson nickels are especially passionate about what's called full steps. On the reverse of the coin, Monticello's staircase often appears weakly struck. But if all the steps are sharp and complete, the coin becomes significantly rarer. A 1969 Jefferson nickel with full steps in mint condition is one of the holy grails for nickel collectors. Clipped planchets. Some 1969 nickels left the mint with a curved or straight section missing from the edge of the coin due to an improperly cut planchet. These coins are instantly recognizable and sought after because they are tangible evidence of a minting error. Each of these errors transforms what would otherwise be a common nickel into a rare piece of history. Collectors love them not only because of their scarcity but also because they represent the quirks and imperfections of the minting process. Another important aspect of the 1969 Jefferson nickel is its connection to American history during a turbulent decade. The late 1960s were a time of change and uncertainty in the United States, with the nation experiencing cultural shifts, political challenges, and even changes in its coinage. Holding onto a coin from 1969 isn't just about owning metal, it's about holding a piece of that era in your hand. Now let's turn to the topic every collector loves most: value. While many 1969 nickels in average circulated condition will only be worth face value, the real treasures lie in those rare examples with perfect preservation or dramatic minting errors. Imagine finding a nickel that looks brand new, with sharp details, luster, and maybe even the elusive full steps. Combine that with a unique error like doubling or an off-center strike, and you suddenly have a coin that stands out as a rarity in the world of numismatics. And here's the part you've been waiting for: the jaw-dropping price. One particularly rare and desirable specimen of the 1969 Jefferson nickel, in pristine condition and with highly collectible attributes, has been valued at an incredible $80,000. Yes, you heard that right. A simple 5-cent coin from 1969 has reached a value of $80,000. This is the magic of coin collecting. It's the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of finding something extraordinary in what others overlook, and the reward of knowledge and patience. That's why collectors continue to examine every detail of coins like the 1969 Jefferson nickel, because you never know when the next life-changing discovery might appear. So, the next time you come across an old nickel in your change, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Study the details. Because hidden in those small pieces of metal could be a story, a rare treasure, and maybe even a fortune. Top 3. We're diving into the fascinating world of the United States Jefferson nickel, and the spotlight is on the 1978 issue. Now, many of you may be thinking, it's just a nickel, worth 5 cents. But wait until you hear the full story. Because the Jefferson nickel of 1978 is not just any ordinary coin, it's a piece that holds a unique place in American coinage history. And for collectors, certain examples of this nickel can be worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. In fact, by the end of this video, I'll reveal one extraordinary example that has shocked collectors worldwide with its incredible value. So, coin lovers, listen very carefully and stay with me all the way through, because what I'm about to share could make you look at your spare change in a whole new light. Let's begin with the background. The Jefferson nickel has been part of American currency since 1938, when it replaced the Buffalo nickel. It was designed by Felix Schlag, whose vision was to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, and one of the nation's most influential founding fathers. His portrait graces the obverse side of the coin, facing left, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date of issue. On the reverse, you'll find the image of Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, along with the denomination, 5 cents, and United States of America. Now, fast forward to 1978. At first glance, the Jefferson nickel from this year looks nearly identical to other nickels minted throughout the decades. Millions were produced across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, which makes it seem like a common coin. But here's where the story gets interesting, because not all 1978 nickels are created equal. In the world of coin collecting, rarity doesn't always come from low mintage numbers. Instead, it often comes from condition and from errors, those unexpected mistakes that happen at the minting presses. And the 1978 Jefferson nickel has its fair share of both. Let's break it down. Most 1978 nickels were heavily circulated. They passed through countless hands, vending machines, and cash registers. As a result, the majority today are worn, scratched, or dulled. Finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is already a challenge. But when you add in the presence of rare mint errors or exceptional strike quality, suddenly this 5-cent coin becomes a treasure. So what kinds of varieties and errors should you look for in a 1978 Jefferson nickel? First, one of the most desirable features is what collectors call full steps. On the reverse, Monticello's staircase is often weakly struck, with details blending together. But on certain nickels, all the steps appear crisp and complete. These full steps nickels are highly prized because they demonstrate an exceptional strike from the mint. Finding a 1978 Jefferson nickel with full steps is like striking gold. It's a rarity that dramatically increases the coin's value. Next, let's talk about double die errors. Occasionally, during the die-making process, the design elements are accidentally imprinted twice at slightly different angles. On a 1978 nickel, this can cause doubling in the words, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or even the date. These errors are obvious once you spot them, and they instantly transform a common coin into a valuable collector's item. Another fascinating error that appears on some 1978 nickels is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank coin planchet isn't properly aligned with the dies, causing part of the design to be missing and leaving an unusual blank space. The more dramatic the off-center strike, while still showing the date, the more desirable and valuable the coin becomes. Then, there are clipped planchets. These happen when the blank metal discs used for coins are cut improperly, leaving a visible curved or straight clip on the edge of the coin. A 1978 nickel with a clipped planchet is instantly recognizable and highly collectible. And don't forget about struck-through errors, where a piece of foreign material, like grease, fabric, or even a small piece of wire, got in the way during striking. These errors leave behind unusual marks or impressions on the coin, making them one of a kind. Each of these varieties adds to the excitement of hunting 1978 Jefferson nickels. They remind us that even in a modern minting era, mistakes can and do happen, and when they do, collectors are willing to pay big money to own these fascinating pieces of history. But beyond errors, condition is everything. A 1978 nickel that's circulated will probably never be worth more than a few cents. But in high mint state grades, coins that look brand new, with sharp details, blazing luster, and no wear, values can skyrocket. Collectors and grading services like PCGS and NGC place a huge premium on such coins, especially when they also carry the coveted full steps designation. Now let's tie this all together with what really excites collectors: the value. While many 1978 nickels will only ever be worth their face value of 5 cents, certain rare examples, those in perfect condition, with rare errors, or with full steps, have stunned the collecting world. And here's the part you've been waiting for. One extraordinary 1978 Jefferson nickel, in mint condition with exceptional qualities, has been valued at an astonishing $78,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 5-cent coin from 1978 has reached a value of $78,000. This is the magic of numismatics, the thrill of turning what seems ordinary into something extraordinary. It's about knowledge, patience, and the joy of discovery. And for collectors, that hunt never ends. So the next time you get change at a store, don't just toss those nickels aside. Take a closer look. Examine the steps of Monticello, check for doubling, look for unusual errors. Because you never know, hidden in that pocket change could be a coin that changes your life. Top 4. I'm going to talk about a coin that many people overlook because it seems too modern, too ordinary, and too common. But when you hear its story, you'll realize it is anything but ordinary. We are talking about the Jefferson nickel from the year 1981. Now, at first glance, a 1981 Jefferson nickel might not look like much. It's just a 5-cent coin that millions of Americans have used for decades in grocery stores, vending machines, gas stations, and parking meters. It was minted in the billions at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with the San Francisco mint producing proof coins for collectors. So why should collectors pay attention to this year in particular? Because hidden among the billions of 1,981 nickels are coins so rare, so unique, and so perfectly preserved that they have become legendary in the coin collecting world. Let's take a step back and appreciate the design. The obverse features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, created by Felix Schlag back in 1938 when the Jefferson nickel replaced the Buffalo nickel. Jefferson faces left, the word "Liberty" appears in his script-like handwriting, and the motto, "In God We Trust," is placed boldly above. The reverse shows Monticello, Jefferson's home in Virginia, with its beautiful neoclassical architecture, the denomination, 5 cents, and the proud words, United States of America. By 1981, the design had already been in use for more than 4 decades, yet it still carried the same symbolic weight. But here's where things get fascinating: even though the design remained the same, the minting process was far from perfect. That's what makes certain 1981 Jefferson nickels stand out today as rare and valuable treasures. Collectors know that value comes not only from age but also from condition, scarcity, and era varieties. And the 1981 Jefferson nickel delivers all three. Let's start with condition. Most 1981 nickels were circulated heavily. They passed through countless hands, scratched against other coins, and lost their original mint luster. Finding one today in truly uncirculated condition, what collectors call mint state, is already a challenge. But even rarer are those that qualify for the coveted full steps designation. What does full steps mean? On the reverse of the Jefferson nickel, if you look closely at Monticello, you'll notice the staircase leading up to the building. Because of weak striking, those steps often appear blended together. But in rare cases, the strike was strong enough to show every step clearly and distinctly. That's what collectors call full steps, and nickels with this feature are dramatically more valuable than ordinary strikes. A 1981 Jefferson nickel with full steps in high mint state is one of the holy grails for collectors, but that's just the beginning. Now let's talk about errors. Every collector knows that mint errors can turn an ordinary coin into a fortune, and the 1981 Jefferson nickel is no exception. One of the most exciting errors you can find is a double die. This happens when the coin's design is struck twice at slightly different angles, causing the letters, numbers, or even Jefferson's portrait to show doubling. Imagine looking at the word "Liberty" and seeing two overlapping impressions. That's a double die error, and it can send the value of a 1981 nickel through the roof. Another error to look for is an off-center strike. This occurs when the blank planchet isn't positioned correctly under the dies, causing the design to be shifted off to one side. If the date is still visible, an off-center 1981 nickel can be extremely valuable, with collectors paying hundreds or even thousands for dramatic examples. We also have clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a mistake in cutting the metal blanks. These errors are instantly recognizable and very collectible. Then there are struck-through errors, where foreign objects like grease or fabric left marks on the coin during minting, creating unique one-of-a-kind patterns. And let's not forget about proof coins. The San Francisco Mint produced special proof versions of the 1981 Jefferson nickel with mirror-like fields and frosted details. Some of these proofs have errors as well, such as cameo contrast issues or misstrikes, and when found in pristine condition, they command serious premiums at auction. All of these factors, condition, errors, and rarity, combine to make certain 1981 Jefferson nickels incredibly valuable. While the average worn nickel from that year is worth only 5 cents, the rarest examples can sell for astonishing sums. Collectors love the thrill of the hunt. Imagine searching through rolls of nickels from the bank, or digging through your old coin jar at home, and suddenly spotting a perfect 1981 with full steps or a dramatic error. That moment of discovery is priceless, and it's what keeps the hobby so exciting. Now comes the part you've been waiting for, the jaw-dropping value reveal. Among all the varieties and conditions of the 1981 Jefferson nickel, there is one particular example, preserved in remarkable condition and showcasing extraordinary qualities, that has reached an unbelievable price. This coin, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent piece, has been valued at an astounding $76,000. Yes, you heard that right. A nickel minted in 1981, a coin that countless people used in their daily lives without giving it a second thought, has reached the incredible value of $76,000, and that, my friends, is the magic of numismatics. The Jefferson nickel from 1981 teaches us that hidden treasures are everywhere. All it takes is a keen eye, a bit of knowledge, and a love for the hunt. So the next time you have a handful of change, don't dismiss those nickels. Take a closer look, you never know what rare piece of history might be in your hands. Top 5. We are going to take a close look at a coin that many people don't think twice about, yet it hides incredible treasures in the world of numismatics. That coin is the Jefferson nickel from the year 1984. Now, for most people, a 1984 nickel is just a piece of change you might use at a vending machine, a bus fare, or to complete a purchase at the store. It doesn't look particularly old, and it isn't made of silver or gold. But here's where collectors know something others don't. Hidden among the billions of nickels struck in that year are rare pieces that can sell for extraordinary amounts of money. Let's start with the basics. The Jefferson nickel has been around since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, its obverse features the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and author of the Declaration of Independence. On the reverse is Jefferson's Virginia home, Monticello, with its elegant neoclassical design. It's one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history, remaining in circulation for decades with only slight changes over the years. By 1984, the United States Mint was producing these nickels at the Philadelphia and Denver mints for circulation, and at the San Francisco Mint for proof sets. Billions of nickels were struck that year, which makes it seem impossible that any could be rare or valuable. But this is where details matter, because coin collecting is all about condition, rarity, and errors. First, let's talk about condition. The majority of 1984 nickels went into circulation and were heavily used. They passed from hand to hand, banged against other coins, and quickly lost their sharp details. Finding a coin from this year in pristine mint state condition is already a challenge. But even more rare are coins that carry the highly coveted full steps designation. So, what exactly is full steps? On the reverse of the Jefferson nickel, below the columns of Monticello, there are steps leading to the building. In most nickels, these steps appear weak or blended because of soft striking during minting. However, in some rare examples, the strike was strong enough to clearly show each individual step, crisp and distinct. When all the steps are fully visible, collectors call it a full steps nickel. This feature dramatically increases the coin's desirability and value, because it proves that the coin was struck with exceptional quality. Now let's move on to one of the most fascinating aspects of coin collecting, mint errors. This is where ordinary-looking coins suddenly become priceless. One type of error to look for in the 1984 Jefferson nickel is the double die error. This happens when the design on the die shifts slightly between strikes, leaving behind a doubled image. On some nickels, you may see doubling in the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or even on Jefferson's portrait itself. A dramatic double die instantly transforms a 5-cent coin into something worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Another error is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank metal disc, known as a planchet, isn't properly aligned when struck by the dies. As a result, part of the design is shifted to one side. Off-center coins that still show the date are extremely popular among collectors, and the more off-center the strike, the higher the value. There are also clipped planchet errors, where a section of the coin appears cut off in a crescent shape. These occur when the minting machine punches blanks too close to the edge of the metal sheet. Such coins are easy to spot and are highly collectible. Then we have struck-through errors, where foreign material like grease or debris interferes with the striking process. These leave behind unusual marks or missing details on the coin, creating a one-of-a-kind collectible. Some 1984 Jefferson nickels have been discovered with these rare and fascinating mistakes, making them highly sought after by error enthusiasts. and let's not forget about the proof nickels from the San Francisco Mint. Proof coins are specially made with polished dies and planchets to produce mirror-like fields and frosted details. In 1984, proof nickels were only available in proof sets, but some of these coins, especially with cameo or deep cameo contrast, have become incredibly valuable when preserved in perfect condition. A proof nickel with an error or one that grades at the highest possible levels can bring in serious money. So what does all this mean for you as a collector or someone who just loves coins? It means that even though the 1984 Jefferson nickel seems common, it holds secrets. Between the condition rarities, the full steps designation, and the wide range of errors, some of these nickels are worth far more than anyone would expect. Imagine the excitement of finding one in your pocket change, or while searching through a roll of nickels from the bank, or perhaps even in an old coin jar sitting at home. That moment of discovery, when you realize you might be holding a small fortune in your hand, is what makes coin collecting so thrilling. Now, let's get to the moment you've been waiting for, the astonishing value reveal. While most 1984 nickels are worth only 5 cents, and even high-grade examples may sell for a modest premium, there are those extraordinary pieces, preserved in flawless condition or displaying dramatic mint errors, that reach unbelievable levels of value at auction, and among them, one very special Jefferson nickel from 1984 has been valued at the breathtaking amount of $74,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. A simple 5-cent coin from 1984, something that could have easily passed through your hands at one point in time, has achieved the incredible worth of $74,000. This is why collectors never underestimate any coin, no matter how ordinary it looks. Because every nickel, dime, quarter, or penny could be hiding a story, and perhaps even a fortune. So, my friends, the next time you come across a 1984 Jefferson nickel, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look at the details. Check for strong strikes, look for full steps on Monticello, and keep your eyes open for errors. You just might discover a rare treasure that could change your life. Thank you for joining me in this journey into the fascinating world of coins. If you enjoyed learning about this rare and valuable nickel, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story of hidden coin treasures. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and remember, the next coin you find could be worth far more than you ever imagined.